What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Buland Hosle episode. What's up, Cece? Quickly, let me just get you on call. Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can increase your volume a little bit.
Well, that's
Can
it.
you?
Can you hear
Okay.
now? Better?
Yeah, I can hear. I could hear pehle also, but I was just telling you.
Okay.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Buland Hosle episode 13. Can you imagine we're already in the second half of 2022?
And we
Oh
have
my
come a
God.
long way, yeah.
Come a long way. We've got amazing guests all through this year. So,
Yeah.
hi everyone who joined in. I've already got our guest, obviously, who's in the audience with us. I'm gonna wait. There's someone called Sangoi Priyank. Hi Priyank. Welcome to Buland Hosle. I had a couple of people from my image fraternity get in touch with me where they saw my post and they said, I saw your post and I really am looking forward to this. And I was like, fantastic. So we've got
Nice.
Rashmi, we've got Taro with Rashmi as well. Oh, Rashmi is from my community, Image Consulting. So yeah, hi everyone. Welcome to Buland Hosle. Today's episode is going to be amazing. So I think a lot of people are going to love this topic. It's a little sensitive, but of course we've got amazing expert panels over here, so they're going to solve all your problems.
Yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
all.
Latin Princess 24. Everyone, welcome. We are already at 6:04. So what I'll do is I'll quickly get into our intro because we know that you all would want to talk to our guest. So let's just get, get all of this, how should I say, greetings out of the way. So darling, over to you.
So, hi, all. Hi, all. So, last time I was not here, and then today Meena is not here. So, yeah. So, I'm going to introduce our Amar, who is Serena, and she is this Punjabi kudi from Delhi. So she worked with multiple international companies and brands like Gap, JCPenney, ASOS, and many more. And she took a career sabbatical and she went on adding new feathers to her cap. And then she started going on the journey of an image coach. And then she suddenly realized that, she herself is lacking somewhere in her self image. And then she went on, she felt very low. So next what she did, she went on and got trained under world's famous personal development trainers, and she got certified as a life coach. So her mission is, you know helping a lot of girls, a lot of ladies, women. I think guys can also, pitch into, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so she already have helped 400 plus people. And I like the thing about her. She works, you know, on personal identity. She calls herself as personal identity coach, and she works, from inside out and outside in. So I don't know, like, it's a very fantastic thing for me, inside out and outside in, because inside out is what always a life coach does, and I know about it. I've been hearing about it. But outside in is what she specifically does, and then when she combines these two things together, it's wow. So people, please, if you want a personal identity coach, just go meet our Amar. Serena, over to you, yaar.
Thank you, darling. So that was me. We are the trio, which is called the Amar Akbar Anthony. For new people who are joining in, I have amazing people who know us. But yes, this is our intro. I am Amar. I'm joining in from Delhi. I am going to be doing an introduction now of Akbar and Anthony. So Anthony is on the screen over here right now with me. She's called Chanchal. But before her, we come down to Akbar, who we are missing. We're
Yeah.
three soul sisters. Her name is Meena. right? I call her M. I call her a lot of things. She's in Bombay. She is a money manifestation and a happiness mindset coach. Why is she a money mindset and a happiness coach? Simply because she has been in the corporate industry for the past 22 years. She has worked with amazing celebrities, and let me tell you, she's currently working on managing your money for coaches. So anyone who wants to get your hands on getting the mindset, the magnetic and the management of money, get in touch with Meena. I've already tagged her in one of my posts in the comments. Go mention, go get hit her and ask her how she has managed to get the happiness quotient also fit into her money mindset, because she feels if you've got money, darling, and you're not happy, your life is just going to be pathetic. Okay, so if you don't crack the two together, you're going to be miserable. So you have to manage both of them. So she again is a life coach like us. We all have the same mentor, and today she is not with us, but you will have to get in touch with her again. She's a happiness and money mindset coach, and that is Akbar, all the way from Mumbai for you, right? Now moving on to the soul sister who's actually present here today. So today we have Anthony, who we call Chanchal, but we don't call her Chanchal. Nobody calls her Chanchal. I think everyone calls her Cece. Except for her official name, nobody calls her Chanchal. But
True.
this girl has been in the data analyst, analysis field, and how should I say, so software quality analyst.
And
Okay, for 14 years, and a data scientist. Yeah, sorry, that's what she is. She's also a mother of three. She's got two beautiful kids and a dog. The same is with Akbar. She's also a mother of three, two beautiful kids and a dog. So they're like flourishing families, I should say. She's joining in all the way from Kerala. Okay, so we've got pan India coaches coming in together who are life coaches, Amar Akbar Anthony. And she is someone, I'll tell you, at the first go, she's someone who is a very, very kind person. As a nature, she's someone who has extreme patience, definitely more than me, I can say, for sure. But she's someone who is so creative, and I have to tell you how creative. She does so many things, dude. She does all the way from work as a data scientist and as a software quality analyst. With that, she bakes. With that, she does art. With that, she does life coaching. With that, she takes care of her entire family. And let me tell you, if you cannot find ways to creatively transform your life, this girl right here on the screen is going to help you, because there are so many ways to transform your life, and sometimes the information that we are giving, the overload, can get too much. Sometimes you just need an easy way out of, and that transformation can come from something like art, the art therapy, the fact that you can do mandalas with her, the fact that you can do paper craft with her, the fact that you can do baking with her, the fact that she has learned it. Okay, she's a self-taught baker. She's very good, and she's learned all of this from the States. Okay, let me tell you, she's like a fancy chef over here. But she can actually take sessions with you, transform your life. And you know what? I'll tell you one thing. The energy with which she does it is actually going to slowly change your life. You would be taking an art class, but eventually you will notice by the end of the art class, your life is actually transformed, because the energy that she gives, the love that she gives, the heart that she has, actually helps women, because that is who she is. She's someone who innately wants to help women, because she's had that kind of a life. She's had that kind of a challenge. So that is Anthony, all the way from Kerala. Darling, lots of love. I love you. So these are the
love
three
it.
soul sisters. And we have amazing people. We have people from our batch. We've got Priyanka. We've
Hi.
got Silky. Oh, Rashmi saying from Impa, and Aarti is a dear friend as well. Fantastic, man. I mean, Rashmi also is someone I got in touch with through, COVID times when, all of us were helping each other out. Fantastic. I mean, she's someone I really admire. And when I saw her, she was also, I think, selected as top 100 for Super Speaker. I was just like, yeah, go Rashmi. So I was just like happy on both ends. So yeah, I've got fantastic people joining in, but I think let's call on our guest. I'm going to quickly send the invite, CC, till you do her intro.
Sure, sure. So the pleasure is mine, and we have a very, 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 I should call her the lioness, right? So we have Aarti, who is a domestic abuse coach, and she used to work with as a management consultant and in corporate sector across borders. Um, she have double masters and from a foreign university, which gave her tools for her career, but her personal experiences were so strong. Those were the tools for her life. And
Yeah.
you should listen to this lady, and I am
Yeah.
waiting to, you know. And then she was in a very abusive marriage, and then with the she went to different stages of abuse, like abusive marriage, post separation abuse, and then there was a messy divorce, and then there was a lot of trauma, but she have got out of all that. And you know it took her a while, but then she came out of it as a strong iron lady. And her healing journey is something that we all have to look forward and learn from. She has found herself and found her life's purpose in practicing as a domestic abusive coach. And I'm so looking forward to, we all have confusions around what is a domestic abuse is. She never lets anyone call themselves a victim if they are into these abusive world. She calls them, or advocates the word survivor. She's on a mission to heal survivors of domestic abuse, to regain balance and find their inner strength. Hi, there we have her.
Hi, Sarina. Hi, Cece.
Hi,
Hi.
darling.
Good evening.
So over to you, Sarina.
So before we begin, I have to tell you how my journey also with Aarti started. I got in touch with her through one of the Success Gyan Super Speaker topics, and I was just like, I said, ये लड़के को approach करना बहुत जरूरी है because ये topic कोई नहीं, nobody is willing to talk about it. No one's willing to even they're willing to talk about it, I think, in under inside their own homes and inside the four walls, where they don't really be open to it, or be open to change or even a different perspective. And when I got in touch with her, there was so much that I genuinely just connected. I definitely find there's some form of past life connection with her. I definitely feel that there are some major sister vibes. She's like, though she's extremely serious, I know that she's very chill in her own ways, because her topic is so heavy. I know one thing, and I give her full credit. The fact that she's got, again, pardon my words, she's got the balls to do this. Okay, so that's something that I celebrate every single time with her. And the second is, she is such a loyal audience to Buland Hosle. She comes every single time, and I love her. Every time I see her in the audience, she'll come for 15 minutes, she'll come for half an hour. Sometimes she'll stay for an entire 1 hour because the stories are just so inspiring. And the next day she'll message me, I can't get over that lady. And that's what I love about Aarti, because she's just like, if she's there, she's just there for you. And that's the kind of person she is. She's got like a huge, huge heart. So that's how I met Aarti, and I love her. Darling, I love you. Thank you for being here.
I love you too, Sarina. I'm overwhelmed so much. I didn't expect so very nice things to be said. Thank you so much. Really grateful. I didn't know that you thought of me that way, and amazing. Thank you so
Oh
much.
yeah,
Yeah.
she
I've
does
Have you
talk.
respected
noticed I always
your
give a shout
presence.
out to you?
Sorry.
If you notice, I always give a shout out to you anytime I see you in the audience. I'm like, Aarti is here.
You do, yeah. And I've genuinely enjoyed the episodes, and I think you always have such lovely people coming in. In fact, you know what? Just before our episode today, yesterday, thinking through all of this, I said, really? I mean, how can I be in the league of those beautiful people who you brought 12 before me? And I said, it's amazing that I stand shoulder to shoulder with them to be on your episode. I
Yeah.
just overwhelmed about that because those people have been really achievers, and I think I've seen 11 out of 12 episodes. I was like, really? You invited me?
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank
No,
you. Thank
definitely. This was something
No,
that was
thank
coming.
you.
I think
You
the
came
first time
with
I
us.
met you is when I knew.
Thank you, and thank you, CC, as well. You
Yeah.
guys have been amazing hosts. It's such a unique format that you have, and the way you all introduce yourselves, the way you all chat with your guests. It's nice. It's unique.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Thank you. I'm missing Meena in this.
Yeah, I know.
She's
She'll be
she's
the
gone for
chirpy
her
bird.
husband's sitar performance.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Major wow.
Oh, well, that's definitely a priority.
Yeah.
भाई
So
ऐसी
he's
जिंदगी
doing
चाहिए मेरे
something for
को,
the Guru Purnima thing happening, right? Yeah.
So,
So
darling
yeah.
Yeah.
Aarti, we've got amazing supporters also in the audience with you. We've got, of course, our batchmates Priyanka, and we've got even Rashmi Rao coming in, and she's a dear friend. And of course, you can see all the loves. And over time, I think as we have this conversation, you'll see all the hearts going out to you.
Hearts and fire.
Oh yeah, fire, the new emotion,
Yeah.
fire. Okay,
Yes.
so ready for rapid fire.
Ready for rapid fire. It's obviously a topic close to my heart. I always think that this is something, like you said very well in the beginning, that it's a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
It's not very easy to talk about it.
Right.
But by now, it's so much in my DNA that when somebody says that it's a sensitive topic, difficult to talk about, taboo and a stigma, for me, I think I've gone so much on the other side of the river that for me it's just not that. It is in my DNA, and I would love for it to be in people's DNA to the extent that they know about it rather than suffer from it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely ready for what you have to ask.
Okay. I'm going with the first question. I'm so curious
Go.
about this matter. So we always know that people go through these kind of toxic relationships. So but still they're not aware of what they're going through. So how can we bring about awareness for these people that they are delusional and they're going through a toxic or very abusive relationship, whatever it is, it's family, friendship, marriage, any kind of relationship, and it could be from immediate family as well. So how do we make aware, how do we educate people, and what are the different forms and levels of impact, you know um, I really don't know. It's like, if you come and tell me that I'm facing something, and
Hmm.
how to differentiate between if it is abusive, if abuse, or it's a normal thing. So I really don't know. So how do we educate people on this?
Sure. Thanks for that question, Cece. And thanks for actually incorporating the fact that abuse is far wider than just spousal abuse that we normally talk about or we normally know
Yeah.
about. So I like that question. It's all encompassing in any case.
Mm.
So that covers a good part of the answer itself, that abuse can happen across any intimate relationship
Mm.
between
Right.
two adults.
Yes.
Jurisdictionally and legally, it has been defined differently in different countries. Sometimes it's talked about as anyone who at the age of 16 and things like that. But that doesn't that definition doesn't exist in India. But
Mm.
very specifically speaking, abuse is actually defined generally also without the legal parlance around it. But we are all forced or compelled to look at the internet,
Mm.
to look at a definition, to understand a definition, and to then start figuring things out for ourselves. Unfortunately, abuse or domestic abuse per se still sort of floats around on the internet. So we don't know much about it from the time we start to turn a little wiser and knowledgeable about life in general.
Yes.
We carry tons of our educational degrees with us, but this is something that shocks us when it happens, or has been shocking us without us doing anything about it, if it has already been around in our lives since an early age.
Yes.
So it might translate from being child abuse to then an abuse in our adulthood and all of that if it's in the family setting. To specifically get to the point of how do we recognize it? Now, either you go around asking somebody whether it's abuse, or
Mm.
you float around in the internet and figure it out. But how do you really come to some kind of a semblance about it, some kind of a balancing thing for yourself that, of course, I'm abused? How can I not acknowledge and accept it because I know this is this? But how do you know that? Because there is a very fine line in intimate relationships which travels from love to abuse very quickly if the abuse is existing.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's all about an imbalance of power between two individuals. So effectively, if it is a parent, a sibling, an uncle or an aunt, a grandparent, a spouse, a live-in relationship partner, a civil partnership, any intimate relationship, the one thing that we need to look out for, and this is something I've come up with my own experience and the experience of my clients when I was synthesizing how can people really recognize it. So I came up with 4 C's. What, and CC, it's not you. So I came up with 4 C's and I said, if I were to do this as a straightforward, now it might sound formulaic, but it's not. Therefore, it is very individual specific how you look at it. But supposing you look at these 4 C's, you will come to synthesize your own situation. One is if the person is careless in your relationship. The second C stands for feeling constrained. If you're feeling constrained in an intimate relationship, what is the value of that intimate relationship? Constrained by any means, by money, by sexuality, by emotion, by mental trauma, by physical trauma. Any of such things are constraining you from moving forward or doing or making choices, doing activities the way you want to. The 4th C would be confusing. If the intimate partner's behavior is confusing to you, then it definitely is a red flag. Because what is intimate partnership at the end of the day? If a parent is confusing you with their behavior of, blow hot, blow cold, at times where you can't make really sense of it, but they may be doing that for their own motives, that could be abuse. I'm not saying that is, but that could be abuse, depending on your history with them. And the 4th C definitely stands for, so the first 3 I'll recap, is constraining, careless, confusing. And the 4th one would be, sorry, how can I forget my own C? The 4th one is effectively, let me come back to that. So
You'll come back to it, yeah.
I'll come back to it because it's actually the pillar for all these 3 to get together. So careless, confusing. I think it was just 3 C's. I'll come back to the 4th one. So if an intimate relationship surrounds you with these 3 C's to begin with, if it's constraining, it's confusing, and it's careless from the side of the person who is putting you through that, and it becomes a pattern, it is abusive in nature on any of these kinds of abuses that I listed out. Now, one could say that, and we've spoken about this arena once before as well, ek thappad bhi to abuse hota hai.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it very much is. It doesn't justify whether it's 1 thappad, 2, or something like that. But the difference between the kinds of abuses also confuses us. Because a physical one is pretty evident.
Yeah.
It is physical, it is very obvious. But a mental or an emotional abuse or a spiritual abuse and economic abuse as well can take time to develop as a pattern for you to start recognizing it as an abuse. So the problem is about what is that person putting you through that makes you feel constrained, careless about that person's behavior, or confused. And when you start to thread all of the incidents together and you feel that it is not helping you grow as an individual or in that relationship, then you definitely need to sit up and take notice of what is it that you are inputting into the relationship versus what you're getting out of the relationship. What is the other person inputting in the relationship versus what they're getting out of it.
Yeah.
So this is how I would put abuse in a bucket to define it. In intimate relationships, carrying forward bit of that answer itself, in intimate relationships, when we are delusional is when we are actually confused. Because what happens is that we want to give the benefit of doubt to somebody who we love.
Right.
And sometimes, even if it is not love, it is a duty. it is a duty that I must respect that person for their age, for the relationship that they have with me, or even the stage of denial where you say, that person is not abusing me, it's only in my head. It
Yeah.
happens that way also. And it can take a very long time to recognize because we have these kinds of conditionings or learnings or knowledge around us existing already. Unfortunately, somebody who is intentional about abusing us takes a lot of advantage of that because once they've started, they don't stop.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And then coming back to the place where we started, that power imbalance is the thing that they use the most. And the abuser will forget what the relationship
Oop,
going off the video.
got you.
Yeah. So I hope that answers what you were looking for. I'll come back to the fourth C when I remember it.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
So basically, it's such a power game, and it can happen with anyone.
It can happen with anyone. And it can be really shocking the moment you start to recognize it.
Hmm.
It,
So,
it
yeah.
can it can start to, really, I mean, I was at a point where it was swirling my head. I said, really? It was
Yeah.
questioning the whole situation because we do have rose-tinted glasses for a lot of relationships.
Yeah. I remember having this conversation with you.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just not about spouse. We just because
Yeah.
we do keep people on pedestals. We do that over a period of time at the cost of our own, worth and everything that we want to choose from and all of that. And we think it's okay because that I can trust that person. Trust से तो सारा game change हो जाता है.
I swear. I swear. Well said. Well said. We already have a question from one of our
Yeah.
batchmates, Divya. She's asking, what about mental abuse if the partner is very controlling about every single thing but does not hit you physically?
So what about it?
Yes.
If it is mental abuse, it is mental abuse. It doesn't really need to be clubbed with physical abuse to be classified as abuse in your relationship. If you have already recognized that it is mental abuse, then and if you want to do something about it, then you got to do something about it because your quality of life is not going to improve from where you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I won't say that it'll get worsened. I can't, I'm in no position to say that, but I'm pretty sure that it will not improve because once you're
Yeah.
already in an abuse state, things are going downhill for you. I mean, as brazen and blunt as it may sound, things are downhill for you because ultimately it's about one mistreating the other. We
Yeah.
use abuse as a heavily loaded word, and then there's narcissism and there's trauma and this and that. If we strip ourselves of any of these heavy loaded words, it's simple. Why would you allow somebody to treat you badly if you already know it's bad for you?
Exactly. Exactly.
So I'm not sure if that was a question, but yeah, if it is mental abuse and you know it is existing, you don't have to wait for physical abuse to happen to take any step around that.
Again, it's coming from the fact that, when we won't question our own reality of is it even actually happening, it comes out to as a form of a validation from someone who would actually know. I think it just wanted some form of confirmation, I think, from your end to say, yeah, it is happening. And at the bare minimum, you just need to understand and ask yourself again the question, why are you letting something incorrect happen to you when it's not okay? So I think that's where the first question that you can start with.
So one regarding that.
I would actually flip the question other way, and I would
Huh.
say, what is it that you want?
Awesome. Yeah. Smart. Yeah. Good. I like the positive spin to it. Yes.
I mean,
What is
your
it that
question is
you?
very relevant, very valid.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would go for what is it that you want? And that's a very complex question, actually.
So somebody was talking to me about the abuse, and they said it's simple. If a stranger does something to you and you don't like it, and why would you take the same thing from your loved one? It's the same effect on you. So
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Like in society, we have eve teasing, right? And eve teasing
Yes.
is so common in many crowded places in different cities in India. I'm sure at some point each one of us must have faced it. And that the very fact that we are nodding our heads in a yes, no, we know that it's so common.
Yes.
And there are instances where we would have either discussed it with our friends, or we would have in a public space, gone and punched somebody or said something in
Yeah.
angry tone, pushed that person away, or done something as to protect ourselves
Yes.
Yeah.
because we
Yes.
know that person is entering our private space.
Right.
Yes.
Eve teasing happens physically, but what happens in the domestic setting is the person who is abusing you automatically has been granted the access of entering your private mental space, private emotional space, private sexual space if you're not consenting to something and something happens to you, private economic space. So it's actually an invasion of a lot of spaces domestically.
Yeah.
But somehow we find it much easier to rebel with a stranger than
Yeah. Oh,
say
yeah.
something to somebody in the household.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I like the fact when you're talking about the concept of the power struggle, like, the person who's actually doing it does not want to let go of their power. It's very simple, yeah. So when she's actually saying that it's not going to improve, she's actually just saying the person does not want to let go of their power that they have over you. It's not as it might not get worse. We don't know, but let me tell you, they're not letting go because they've kind of figured it out that they can do this to you.
Absolutely.
And I love that because I think that's a great moment for everyone to just wake up and understand it in these simple words when it comes to awareness. So from that, I actually want to, darling, jump into the second question because this is something that I personally want to know. Okay, and when I wrote this question, you could figure it out that this is coming from my perspective. When I'm talking about the identity, right? Look at all the hearts going out for you. All right. All right. So my second question is for someone who continues to stay in an abusive environment, right? Do they get used to a distorted identity for themselves? And over here, I'm talking about the person who is in the survivor body, the person who's facing it,
Receiving end.
receiving
Person
it,
who's at
receiving
the
it.
receiving end has a distorted identity.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Depending on the length and breadth of the abuse that the person has already experienced. Why would I say that? If you go back to that simple example and for the sake of ease of reference, one slap. If somebody has slapped another person for one time, it might be looked at as an aberration in that relationship. The person receiving the slap also may think that, oh, they are under some stress or, oh, mistake ho gaya, something like that. They might end up giving the benefit of doubt, although logically knowing, educatively knowing that it is abuse, they might not want to go down that route, right? So identity crisis really doesn't happen in such cases because the overwhelming feeling is more about I'm hurt, but I can still give the benefit of doubt. I didn't like it, but I can still give the benefit of doubt. I don't want to be in the situation again, so I think we can work this out. घरों में लड़ाई झगड़ा होता रहता है. So the proportion of that feeling of doing something about it from a solution point of view between the two people is higher than looking at it inward as is something wrong with me.
Oh.
Typically, with one instance, that might happen. With one instance of anything. But physical, why are we taking the example of physical again and again? Because that's immediate. The result of that is immediate. The impact of that is immediate. It could be really just a slap or any other way of physical scarring. But with mental and emotional abuse and things like that, which are invisible, they become a pattern over a period of time, and only then you start realizing the impact of it.
Yeah.
Any one instance is not enough for you to feel abused. Right? So, and any one instance is not going to make you again feel that iska solution nahi hai. We can find a solution to this. So, for example, if somebody says, right now I don't have enough money for you. In an intimate relation, I don't have enough money for you. It's a very normal statement, right? And you don't have access to the person's finances. You don't know really what the money situation is like in all of that, because of the trust and faith in that relationship, and you're dependent on that person for the money. Once it happens, twice it happens, and you start feeling constrained because you don't have enough money, say for example, to run the household,
Yeah.
to meet your own basic needs, or something is starting to get fishy about that statement over a period of time,
Yeah.
Right.
right? And economic abuse is not just about me giving you money or not giving you enough money. It's about constraining you or preventing you from accessing services as well.
Yeah.
I was in a situation where I was denied medical services when I actually needed to be in an ambulance. That was a form of economic abuse because the person did not want to spend on me. So, you see, those are moments where you are not only just facing the abuse, you're also having a very strong mirror of the relationship itself, that really there's no love in it. Really, there's no care in it. You know, I could be just discarded as a garbage bag. And I know that only because I'm in a situation like this. If a situation like this hadn't happened, I wouldn't have known the worth or the value of me in this relationship.
Right.
So, you know, abuse of any kind would have several complex layers to it, which only you as an individual going through it would understand, because you know the dynamics between you and that other person very well.
Oh yeah.
The,
Yeah.
the delusional part would come in typically because of, see, if you put all of these C's together, constraining, confusing, being careless, you're effectively driven in your daily life by that person.
Yeah.
See, we are assuming that you two are living under the same roof. You're driven by that person's choices.
Yeah.
When you're driven by that person's choices, you're not truly living you.
Yeah.
And it's not about whether I can buy that dress or I can go to that movie. It's about also a difference that comes up in your thought processes, in your beliefs, in your value systems. For example, just as an example, if somebody is a very corrupt person in their office, okay, and that person is used to lying, the quality or the trait of lying can come to you. The dishonesty can come to you in your personal relationship with that person. And that person can sort of show traits of the corrupt behavior or the lying behavior well within your relationship where your values may not match.
Right.
Right? So, for example, if somebody has come home and something needs to be repaired, and say it's not an official thing to do, we need a lot of permissions. It's okay, give them money, get it sorted. It's not abuse to you directly, but it's abuse to you when you sit down and try to make a conversation about it. That doesn't match my values. This is not the kind of person I knew you were.
Right.
Okay, so abuse in its various expressions can actually be brought up by different conversations also.
Yeah.
The person who is abused may be triggered by your own beliefs in certain things. So what happens is that if you keep your value or belief as a normal conversation between two people in an intimate relationship, which should be the freedom given to anybody in an intimate relationship, I believe, your voice is shut down.
Yes.
When your voice is shut down and you're not truly living you, what do you make of the situation? You are then in that relationship because of a certain attractive personality that was shown to you initially. That was a bait, possibly,
Yeah.
to get you in that relationship. But where a bait is a bait is a bait. 24/7, your real self will come out. And if the abuser's real self does come out and they have a power over you, you don't even know that that's going to come. You are caught off guard. When you're caught off guard, it automatically becomes a powerless situation for you. On top of that, instances of abuse can increase in any way because the person has been strategizing around. That is their value system. That is their belief system. So what happens is that your energies go into protecting yourself. Your energies go into the confusion. Your energies go into questioning the carelessness of that personality towards you. And your energy goes into feeling constrained. So if you're surrounded by all of this, how do you expect yourself to live a true you?
Yeah.
And that's why the identity chaos
Hmm.
in your mind. And I've lived through this for the longest time, and this literally killed me more inside than the abuse itself.
Yeah.
And I was pretty sure about that for the moment it hit me. I was pretty sure about that, that Aarti is lost. Aarti is no longer in this relationship. There is someone else in that relationship. And a lot of people who are abused go through this identity crisis.
Yeah. Been there.
Because,
Maybe a
yeah,
small
because
bit,
of,
but yeah, been there.
yeah. So they're carrying a lot of baggage, a baggage that someone
Hmm.
else has created for them.
Yes.
And for the
Yeah.
longest time, sometimes people don't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it tends to eat you up a lot,
Yeah.
and that at that unrecognized phase of the impact of the abuse is the one that uh, sort of creates any changes inside of you. For me, particularly, the changes were psychosomatic diseases. And it was just impossible for me or anybody around me to link up everything. Where is it really coming from? So I would highly recommend for somebody to start to notice the signs. And so, see, there's a very tightrope walk here.
Yeah.
You don't have to be on the edge in an intimate relationship. You don't have to be,
Yeah.
questioning their behavior. You don't have to be like, I have to be alert. That's not an intimate, proper intimate relationship. Yeah. At the same time, you have to know
Yeah.
where that bond really is, where the beauty really lies,
Yeah.
before things start to go off track. Sorry, long
I
answer.
No,
So,
no, I perfectly love it, and I know the fact that more I've been in a situation where I've lost myself. That's why I've kind of created my entire concept of identity, because I lost my identity for the longest time, and I had the worst. The fear of trying to get my identity was far greater than something else going to happen from, the family, or the abuse, the next episode going to happen. That was like, I didn't know when that was going to happen, but I was dealing with it every minute. My lost identity, that fear of just panic, chaos, anxiety, and just it was just like you were just like a mess, right? That was worse than anything, because you didn't even have a grounding, you didn't even have like a steady head, you didn't even feel okay in your own body. You felt so weak that you were just going to collapse any moment. The wor- that's the crappiest thing to go through, and it's hard. It's definitely hard, but definitely when it comes, I wouldn't want that for anyone, you know, and not even my worst enemies should have an identity crisis to this point where they lose themselves. All for what? Again, वही है ना, बेड़ा गर्क करा है, trust करके, just not knowing your boundaries, not knowing where it all stops for you. Okay, what you need to be okay with, and you need to first know that for yourself. Everyone out there, again. Darling Minakshi, you can ask your
Well,
question, no doubt.
very
Just
well
ask in
said,
the
Sarina.
question. Just ask in the chat. We'll take it up in the middle. And Cece, do you have any other input? Otherwise, we'll go on to question 3.
yeah, I mean, it's related to question 3, so I'll start with this. So, whenever I get confused a lot, because whenever I have a problem like this, when I go to my parents or my mom or any elder person, and when I say tell them, they're like, look at us, you kids always having issues. Our generation never had this, because now you guys don't know how to be very to take things in a right way. You don't have the patience. You don't know what sacrifice is, and you guys don't want to do any single small sacrifice in your life for the other person around you. And here you come out complaining. So my question is also regarding that. So it's like, um, abuse is more in our generation compared to our parents' generation. Do you feel so? And either way, how come both generations cannot speak up or even understand each other? For example, so the question has like, if parents had a worse abusive life, they don't understand it repeating for their kids and have regrettably conveyed that one should adjust. Exactly what I was saying. My
Yeah.
If I go to my grandmother, anyone, this is what I get. So I'm confused.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Cece, I found this question very interesting. There's a history to. Uh,
Did we lose her again?
No, no, she'll come back. She's
Video
in
keeps
demand.
dropping.
You see, you need to understand this girl.
I actually put my phone on do not disturb, and it was something. The video keeps dropping. I'm sorry for that. So, Cece, what I was saying is that there is a history. This doesn't have a specific reference point only to your family or mine or Sarina's. There is actually a world history around why this is the case. Okay, so I'll address the first part of it. Is the abuse is abuse more in our generation, assuming we are in our 30s, 40s, in our generation vis-a-vis our parents? You
Right.
see, what had happened was traditionally women have been on the on the lower end of the balance when it came to everything from voting to rights of any kind, work, and all of that. Now, research and literature also has unfortunately got influenced by that. I mean, we call it unfortunate in our generation, but at that time that was the norm. So, around the 1960s, when even literature around, say, family and women was being written, there was a Journal of Marriage and Family in the 1960s. The word violence was never used as an example of
Hmm.
what we are trying to get to, okay? The word violence was never used in that journal in any article over the 1960s. And we're talking about the West. हम India तक तो अभी पहुंचे भी नहीं हैं. In the 1970s, the feminist activism took place. And that's the interesting part. Until then, we did not have any statistics around domestic abuse. It was always sidelined as a topic to be discussed legally, medically, socially. So it's a complete blank. Beyond a certain decade, it's a complete blank across the world. I mean, unless there are spurts of data here and there, unfortunately, this can't be even a spurt because this is a very huge topic. It has to be covered nationwide. It's not about having flooding in one place and sun in another. It is a nationwide topic in any country, but it was never captured that way. It was never recognized that way. It's like saying coronavirus came in 2020, and that's when the data will start getting captured. No,
Right.
but if we didn't have the science or the technology or the people to capture it, coronavirus would have remained coronavirus only as a name, just like the Spanish flu was in the 1900s, somewhere in the mid 1920s. We don't have too much data about it. We just know millions of people died. So you see, there is a difference now how we would capture things. Now, that is pure science, pure quant. But in terms of just capturing what domestic abuse is, in fact, it was not even called domestic abuse, it was domestic violence. People wanted to shun the word violence, they did not want to use it, it did not come in regular research norms. And because it did not until the 1970s, which is where our parents' generation belong, and part of our grandparents' generation belong, they don't understand this topic as a sociological topic, as a psychological topic, as a cultural topic. They do not understand it. It also forms a huge part of parenting, which again they don't understand because their traditions have been handed down by previous generations. There are no textbooks around it. There is no social research around all of this. As much as I'm aware of, there is nothing around it that they can say, okay, if I want to, for example, use the best bags in the world, Sarina, please correct me if I'm wrong or pardon my lack of knowledge, but if I want to use the best bags in the world, first I'll go to the internet, I'll see where Gucci is available and that is available and this is available. I'll ask around, I'll read some lovely magazines. If I want to do up my house, there are so many interior designing magazines. The market is flooded with all this. Tell me about domestic violence. it's not a fancy topic,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So it's important. You and I either go through it or have observed it or know about it. All of us know about it for sure. But it's not fancy enough to capture the attention of people, especially if research has been lopsided by gender. Research has been lopsided by funding. Research can be lopsided for anything, right?
Wow.
So when we see our parents' generation, that's the problem, which boils down to the fact that the problem always existed. It was never talked about. It was never published.
Hmm.
Therefore, we will never know. Maybe our next generation does, and the generation after that will definitely do. But we will never know whether abuse by numbers was higher in our parents' generation or not. But it was there.
Okay.
Because that's what brings me to the second part of your question. It was there, and that is why they got used to it, because of not merit but patriarchy, because
Yeah.
of tradition, because of certain value systems. See, it became like a package. For example, if you're getting married into another family, always keep your eyes low, keep coy, don't speak too much, be in your own boundaries, learn to adopt the next culture. All of that, besides being good learnings, also meant that you're broad brushing the bride's knowledge.
Yeah.
You mold yourself like clay for them in a marriage system. You mold yourself like clay for them because India is largely patriarchal and your life is sorted.
Yeah.
Which also meant to say that if there is something like abuse, accept it. Because now that's your arena, that's your playground, that's the
Yeah.
scenario. You don't have a choice, madam, you just don't have a choice. This was taught to us. And because it's like saying, if brushing my teeth is a habit, I will teach the same to my child. If getting slapped by my husband is his habit, I will not say a word if my child goes through it as well. It's as crude and as downright truth as much as it is.
Yeah.
That's hard.
So that's hard, but that's primarily. I was very curious about this. Was really thanks a lot, Cece. That's one of the most unique questions I've come across, and I was so interested. That's one of the truths that has come up to us in our generation, which is why our transition generation finds it a little more difficult. Do I go right or left? Just like the map behind Sarina right now, you're on crossroads.
Yeah.
Which way do you go? Because at some point you are knowledgeable and wise enough to make a choice,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of reins that hold you back.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I hope that answers it, Cece.
Yes, it does. I mean, we are more aware than them, and we know to react or set our boundaries, and that kind of brings it out. Maybe that's I understand that now. Yeah.
I remember having this conversation with you, Aarti, when I called you when you and I had the one-on-one Insta live, not the Buland Hostle episode. I called you for my Insta live, and I remember having a conversation, and we were generally talking. Why aren't we talking about it? And you openly, question me and everyone. You're like, did you ever learn about this in school? This is not taught, so don't kind of pick up topics, suddenly in your adult life and try to question them, because there has been no education, there has been no formatting, there has been nothing which supports this in today. I mean, as an adult, we struggle with it today, right? Had we had any form of an icebreaker, any form of awareness, any form of reality check at an early age, we would have been slightly better, and not been in the situations that we are today. And as much as that's a very hard hitting statement when you're answering that at the end of the day, I believe that that's all they knew as well, right? They just knew how to suppress themselves and they just shifted it from that generation to the next generation as just like जैसे jewelry नहीं आगे pass over करते. It's like the same thing. The thoughts just passed over.
Yeah.
There was no improvement.
Yeah.
So
And it's not their fault. You know,
yeah, exactly.
I've had my own struggle with this thinking, but I've come to a point where I said that it's not the fault of the parents
Yeah.
because they have done the best in the knowledge and wisdom at that time, which again I'm not generalizing because some parents know what they're doing and
Yeah.
yet they don't protect their children because they just want to do away with their responsibilities. एक की शादी हो गई, दूसरी की शादी हो गई, and we're not taking you back because you know, society, image, ये वो, all that apart. But there are generally parenting approaches. We can't change that. We
Yeah.
can't change that. We've already passed all of that already. What is of importance now is to not analyze that as much as to see what we are giving to the next generation. I think being future focused is far more important because when I was thinking about this as well, why the previous generations have tolerated it? Why is it something that I can't even talk about in my household, or sometimes even friends cringe when they talk about all of this?
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think I'm done with all of that. I'm just done with all of that. I'm at a stage now where I really want to be future focused. It's unfortunate what does not exist in our lives as quality living, but there's always a chance to build it up
Yeah.
because we
Yes.
do have the next generation,
Yeah.
Yes.
regardless.
So something that comes up like, when you try to educate people about this, it's a thin line between where it can go wrong, whatever you're trying to tell them, or it can be right. Because I have seen some people when they'll come and tell you like, don't misguide, my person, you're misguiding it. Don't bring your feminism in here, and you're trying to put wrong things into her or the kid's head. And then you have to be, it is a very sensitive subject where you have to handle it very carefully, and yet we have to educate everyone. So I don't know, like I'm so confused. Like whenever I want to tell that to someone, this happens. This kind of stops me. I have to think like 100 times before I talk to a person regarding this. And yeah, it's difficult. I have faced that. People coming and
So,
telling me that
CC,
on my face.
you gave me the opportunity, and this has been on my mind since I spoke those three CCs. C's. The
Yes.
fourth one was not convincing. And you gave me the opportunity now to talk about that it's the abuser's behavior. Let's assume that we're not even talking about the word abuser, the person you are in an intimate relationship, to just make it slightly more digestible. Okay, if a behavior is not convincing, it is a red flag.
Yes.
Much the same way as these kind of conversations that you've had with people where they dissuade you from advising somebody or sharing some worthy knowledge or whatever. If it's not convincing to you, move away from that environment.
Right.
It has been amply confusing to me, which is why I've taken a very, very long time to not just heal myself, but also to convince other people that, boss, this is my path.
Yeah.
Okay, now there's no looking back.
Right.
Now, why have I had to convince people? Because I don't find their approaches convincing. So you have to be extremely sure about where you stand.
Okay. Yeah.
If you are on this path of feeling strongly about this topic and genuinely wanting to convey something about it to someone else that is dear to you, I would just say be thoroughly convinced that this is what it is.
Yeah.
You will find opposite opinions and opposite views and opposite approaches everywhere, especially on this topic, because we are the layers of patriarchy, the layers of whatever you may call it, the environment, the other relationships, the taboo, the stigma still exists.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, and that part, I just wanted to catch you on that one word of feminism. I gave examples of feminism, etc., more to do with the history part. But I would say that if you are convinced about domestic abuse being a problem, it's not a problem of women alone.
Right.
So I think one of the first things to drive away people's opinions on it is, first of all, I'm not being a feminist.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think I believe in feminism as much because this is who I am. That's it. I don't need to classify myself as feminist.
Yeah.
So whether you stand for women or you stand for all genders, the point is people want to throw labels at you because it is convincing to them. But if it's not convincing to you, just shove it away.
Yeah.
And you know, the beauty of it is you can always say that you're not disrespecting them.
Yeah.
As much as they have a right to their opinion, you have for yours, and you can go your different ways. And that builds a lot of conviction for yourself as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Makes
It's not
sense.
an easy path, but it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, we are trying to help someone, and then if they are not in the convincing situation, so yeah,
So be it.
yes.
Yeah, so be it.
All right, all right. So this time I'm gonna ask you a question which is gonna, I think, dig a little deeper because I know a lot of people are on this call specifically to hear you. And whoever I know who needs to get in touch with her, I've already tagged her and I will tag her again. But this is where you know a little bit about the expert who's Aarti. So Aarti, darling, tell me,
Yeah.
when did you decide to make your mess as the message? I know your story, but I want everyone here to know because this is no, I don't want you to just connect with her. Okay, some coach came, some expert came, she was just answering questions. You need to know her why, and that's really going to change your outcome and how you look at her and the way you connect with her now. So, darling, over to you.
So it was a journey. It didn't come to me overnight that I need to make my mess my message because I was already in so much of a mess. My head was messy and I had no bandwidth to really serve anybody. I did not because I was just using all my time to serve myself in whichever way I could, medically, legally, socially, culturally, and I was in an identity crisis. And in that journey, because of a lot of my legal struggles, I have spent many, many, many days in courts. And I was totally involved and absorbed in understanding what I am going through on paper as well. Not the kind of person to leave anything to just any professional. So if there's a doctor, I ask a lot of questions. If there's a lawyer, I ask a lot of questions and things like that. So when I got deeper into my legal matters, trying to face all those cannonballs that were coming to me one after the other, and I found myself as a headless chicken. But I said, "Nahi, ab to got to do something about this." So when I got deeper and deeper, I surrounded myself only with legal files. I did not know when I started to grasp everything very well legally, from the legal parlance point of view. Started to really read books and all of that and figure it out. And I was supported by a very good legal team. Over a period of time, there were legal teams. And then I found myself in a space where the lawyers were telling me, "Aap hi kar do na ye." लिखने का काम, drafting का काम. There were times I've gone and represented myself also in 2 countries in different courts and all that. So things started coming to me out of circumstances and out of some courage, out of some conviction that हाँ ये तो मैं कर सकती हूँ. And it was also that fire. It was also that fire in me that I'm going to protect my self-respect, whatever it takes. And all of that through the legal channels. Now, when all of that was happening, I realized that because my grasping power on the legal side was so good, I decided to do a law course. The usual 3-year things and all that. And I said, why did I decide to do that? When I used to be in courts, I saw a lot of women. At that time, I did not have so much awareness about men going through domestic abuse, and unfortunately, the legal system doesn't support men in India. So I saw women, and I saw the kind of distress that they went through. And sometimes I find it really funny. I was there with the distress and I used to see other people with distress and I was like, where is this coming from? But I was very observant and I said that, it's very difficult to navigate legal systems. And I've done this in 2 countries. It's really difficult unless you're well guided and you have to use your own brain. And I said that, a lot of people are sometimes misled also. And if I can grasp this, I can help myself better in my legal cases, and I will go out and help other people. And that time it was only women. And I said, I'm going to work for them. I'm going to make sure that they're not misled. So if I am their lawyer, at least I can navigate them to the right process. I can't control the processes because they take the time they take. The results are not guaranteed, but I can at least help them navigate the right path and, flashlight them on what darkness I have seen. So that was my goal. And I ended up taking the law exam. I also got admission in one of the top 10 colleges of India. And yeah, and then something happened circumstantially, and I just fell off the bandwagon. The
Oh, oh.
moment I said I fell off the bandwagon, the video also went off. I fell off the bandwagon, and somehow at that time priorities just changed. My practical priorities completely changed overnight for various reasons, and that part of me got left behind. But that nudge inside of me, what can I do about this? What can I do about this? And then again, things kept changing in life, and somehow I think I was throwing out this message to the universe: "Kya karna chahiye? Kya karna chahiye? Kya karna chahiye?" And the funny part is, I lost my cases. I couldn't help myself enough, and my legal team, despite their efforts, couldn't help me enough. But if I look at that objectively now, I said my mission of trying to help other people should not be affected because I lost.
Yeah.
How can they be connected? How can I just say that because I lost, I should not help other people? So, I was like going through this whole turmoil of what, when, how, and things like that. So I think I was looking for channels subconsciously also, and things happened, things changed, and then one day I, while being in the spirituality and philosophy space, I also stumbled upon coaching. And that's when the bulb on happened. I said, "Arey, coaching ka kyun nahi socha?" So, and the reason I actually thought that coaching is the right space, two very effective reasons for me to take this up. One is that it is one-to-one. I don't have to navigate systems. I don't have to be dependent on some power sitting somewhere as an authority, putting your destiny on paper. You have your results in your own hands. I'm just there to put a flashlight. So the flashlight that I wanted to give in the legal way, I now do in a different way in coaching. The second reason why I wanted to do it is because I missed that. In some 8 or 9 years of my journey through all of this, I had lawyers, doctors, family, friends, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F. I had no coaching.
Yeah.
And now when I'm in this space, I realize that it makes such a hell of a lot of difference when somebody who has walked that path can help you put that flashlight on. Absolutely objectively, non-judgmentally, and confidentially.
Yes.
Without making a fuss or a drama about it. And I was like, wow, I think I found my place. So somewhere along the lines, we share the same mentor. So when I did Pooja's course, and then I did a couple of other courses, and my mentor Thaddeus Lawrence, like he just cemented everything I was making as a choice. And he trusted me. I think he believed in me more than I did. And that's it. रास्ते बनते गए, कारवां चलता गया. That's it.
इंशाल्लाह बहुत दूर 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 बहुत लोगों को खुशियां और नूर फैलाता हुआ जाएगा. So yes, with that blessing, definitely that will happen. And yeah, that was I really didn't know about your legal journey. I knew the rest of it, but yeah, that was new to me. I think I keep discovering a few things here and there every time. But
I still love to do it at some point. I still love to do that. Invest my 3 years in doing the legal journey formally at some point in my life. But yeah, at least now I have this way.
We're getting a lot of love your way. Divya is loving this session. She's sending all the blessings. Mosmi, who is a goddess energy coach, she says it's not funny. You're such a compassionate person. You recognized pain even when you were in pain. Amazing, Aarti. Lots of clapping. Vidita is saying beautiful journey. Everyone just connect. I know that they are. That is also one of the reasons why I want you to have. I want you to, invited you to come here. I want a bigger audience. I want more people. And anyone in the audience right now, before we go on to the next question, there is an arrow button right at the bottom where you share this. Share this clipping right now. This live happening right now. 10 people, 5 people, your best friend, anyone you know who's going through this, who needs some form of awareness, some form of guidance, some form of light, because Darling is here, the expert is here, they can get in touch with her. Obviously, I will give all the deets right at the end. So please do your bit. If it makes sense to you, if you feel that this was helpful, share it to people who actually need it. Right? So that's how you kind of contribute to our growth and our audience, and how we keep spreading this everywhere. So,
Yes.
Cece, I'm going to push it to the 5th question for you.
Okay.
Thank you for your kind words, Arina.
So, Aarti, our final question is: what is that one message that you're going to give for all those women and men alike who is going through domestic abuse?
I'm hardly anyone to give a message really, because I know there are a lot more people who are braving it out by being in that situation and not really doing something about it. That itself is brave, and being completely non-judgmental about it. If they have chosen to be in that situation, there must be a reason. Although they must be aware that there is a way out. They should be aware that there is a way out. And from a message point of view, I think it boils down to this: that because of that delusion, because of that benefit of doubt, because of that misplaced trust, there is a lot of leeway that we can give an abuser, not knowing that we are doing that. And instead of looking at that situation externally, look inward. Answer that question: what do you want? And while answering that question, the first and foremost thing is accept that situation. Acknowledge it and accept it. Because without that, that third step is not going to be possible or easy. That will be possibly the most painful moment, to accept that this has happened. But that's also the cliffhanger moment where you just literally just take the next step. Now, next steps mean different things for different people. It does not always mean leaving a relationship. It does not always mean leaving the environment. But whatever it is that the next step means to you, develop that courage. Approach the right people to develop that courage and build a support system to be able to do something about it, because your reality and your life will not change its quality if you don't do anything.
Yes.
Super.
Please do not look at yourself as a victim. You are meant to thrive. And that's the bottom line.
Super.
Speechless.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got Milind, and we've got even Mano here. Milind says accept and acknowledge. Sounds small or silly, but super important, definitely. Milind, I see you're doing amazing work. Again, a great shout out to you. Thank you for being here. I'm absolutely humbled and honored that you could take out some time from your amazing life, and as a coach that you are helping all these amazing people. And of course, your amazing Aarti is also here. So
Milind
yeah,
is a fun coach to be with. Absolute fun.
I can imagine. This has been Cece. What are you thinking?
No, I'm just processing all that she was telling. It's a whole big thing that she was said. It's a lot to process. So I'm just slowly processing. a lot to think about. Yes.
I think this is, I think every time I say that this is my, every Buland Hausle episode that we're doing is just like really amping up the game for us, you know, in terms of the quality of conversations, in terms of the quality of questions, in terms of the kind of awareness that we're bringing. And I think every single time we have the Buland Hausle, I'm just like, dude, this was my favorite. Dude, this was my favorite. Dude, this was my favorite. But genuinely, I wanted the kind of awareness to come from you because I myself wouldn't want to, you know, give very half-hearted information, have very half-hearted conversations because people are going through some really dark times, I definitely believe. And the only thing I know of what I've been through that I can say, I'm definitely, Aarti, correct me if I'm wrong, I definitely believe that it is a new chapter or a new era has really come out where there is light, you know, and it's a choice again at your end of when do you choose that form of identity, that form of life, that form of authentic living where you are not again in that careless, constricting, constraining.
Careless, constraining, confusing, and not convincing.
Thank you, darling, for that recap. Those were the four C's. So, anyone who needs any form of support, you know who to get in touch with. Because I know a lot of people will not be able to have this conversation on a public platform. I completely respect that. I completely agree. And I do give you all the, how should I say, the shout out to say, dude, get in touch with her, hit her up. She's based in Bombay. For everyone who needs to know, she's based in Bombay. And you need to understand one thing. She has a large, large heart, and she does it with such, how should I say, this innate, how should I say, want to make sure that you are not where she was. You are not in the same space maybe a month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. She really wants you to move on, right? She's someone who really wants you to go forward, start with awareness, start asking yourself questions. And considering we all have the same mentor over here, I think our principles or the fundamentals do match to a very, very large extent in terms of being so selfless. So this girl, Aarti, right here, I'm going to tag her in the description. And we've had a blast, Aarti. I love the questions today. How was your, what did you think about today's episode?
Me, I thought that the questions were relevant, unique, and really going beyond scratching the surface of the topic.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed the fact that we gave it a different angle altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important because I end up talking about this on a few Insta lives here and there, and I feel that the more different kinds of questions come, the more we generate a proper debate around it.
Yes.
The more we generate courage around it, and the more we generate this bonhomie that we are all in this together.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's very important. So thank you so very much.
Amazing. Aarti, one last thing I'm going to ask you for all the viewers out here. Is there anything that you're conducting so they can get in touch with you? Is there any, are you only doing one-on-one? Do you take group or do you have any topic that's coming up that they can get in touch with you? Yeah, please.
Thanks for asking that, Sarina. I've been doing one-on-ones, of course, for both men and women on this topic, and generally on the courage and confidence topics. Also, a lot of people who are luckily not abused have also approached and have been working with them. I have been doing some group work. Unfortunately, in the last few weeks, because of the spate of illnesses and all that, my schedules have gone haywire, but I'm going to be announcing some very soon. I'm also hoping, as I said, that we protect the next generations. And Sarina, you've been on one of those webinars. I'm very passionate about the fact that this is a topic beyond the person who is abused.
Yes.
This is a topic of concern for families who are connected to that abused person as well, and especially for children because they are dependent on the abused person. So for those who have children, for those who have the compassion about protecting them and don't know how to, I do conduct some workshop and group coaching on how to protect your children who are witnessing abuse. And this is not about child abuse. This is about protecting your children who are witnessing the abuse. So I'm going to be announcing some stuff very soon once I just get settled with getting all the illnesses out and back in action properly. And yeah, my Insta handle will have all of the information
Awesome.
over some time.
I've been part of her session, and definitely I attended it because I am a product of that situation or those circumstances, and I'm like the adult version of whatever I've been through. So definitely it was an eye opener and something that you must attend when you have children or you come from a family and you really need to understand the need to protect the children, because the next generation is filled with the kind of information and the kind of exposure. You really need to be hands-on with the circumstances that you are surrounded by. Bring awareness first within yourself so that you can start changing your life and of course your children's. So darling, for all those people who want to get in touch with her, definitely get in touch with her. Her name is Aarti. I will definitely put all the description. And as usual, Aarti, it was lovely having you. And I'm so happy that you could take her a little more than an hour. It didn't feel like an hour, man. But loved it altogether.
In fact, pardon me if I have overshot your scheduled time, so I didn't realize.
Not at all, not at all.
That's what happens when we speak passionately about things, no?
You know your own webinars, they just kind of carry on, they just continue forward, and you're just like, dude, I want to like chill now. I want to sit down, take a breather. So we're just going to tell everyone that this was Buland Hosle episode number 13. She is a life coach. She is a domestic abuse coach. And again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that she talks about abuse is genderless. So please hit her up, get in touch with her one-on-one, whatever is comfortable to you. Join her group sessions. Save and protect your children, and of course send us all the love. We will be back with another session on the 27th of July, and before we wrap up, we are going to do our signature sing song that we do. So I've got my soul sister on the call, and we're going to go in 3, 2, 1. अनहोनी को होनी कर दे, होनी को अनहोनी, अनहोनी को होनी कर दे, होनी को अनहोनी, एक जगह जब जमा हो तीनों, अमर, अकबर, एंथनी, अमर, अकबर, एंथनी. I love this sing song. You're so out of tune. Our band is all over.
Yeah,
But
the best part.
it's
Thank
the
you
most
for
fun we
entertaining us
have.
as well.
Yeah, it's the most fun we have because we really want everyone to just know this is how crack we are when we get together, and this is how we kind of keep it real for each and every one of you. So that's who we are. Thank you all for joining in. Have a wonderful evening. Lots of love again to my soul sisters and Aarti over here. Thank you so
Thank you.
much,
Grateful.
and I will see you next time. Take care,
Bless you
everyone.
all.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.